What's up, everybody? It's Jimmy and Wals here with the CLT Life, and we're going to talk about the Carolina Panthers today, coming off the week. What week was that? Week 12? Week
9?
Week 11? What's our record at?
3 and 7.
Week 10. It's the 10th week of the season. I'm looking at it right now, NFL Week 10. So, so the Panthers have they played 2 games in 4 days, and it was like 2 completely different teams. Week 9. Going to Cincinnati and just got steamrolled down 35-0 at halftime. PJ Walker was what 0 for 3 or 3. He had 3 completions, 9 yards, I think, in the first half. 0% passer rating. They bring in Baker Mayfield, ends up being 42-21. They score against some soft defense, and then they come out on a short week on Thursday, and you wonder how they're going to show up playing the Falcons, who they just had like probably the craziest game of the whole NFL season, especially that fourth quarter,
Right.
2 weeks ago when they should have won that game. And now they come out and it's a completely different look to the game, completely different look to the team. And I thought they looked really good, not only the way they performed, but those uniforms too. So what's your feedback? What do you think?
Yeah, the black on black uniforms are always great. The matte black helmets.
Ditch the silver. I've been over the silver helmets for years. Ditch the silver helmets. Go with the black helmets full time. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with it. I mean, it would make us look a lot meaner. So, like I'm here for it. And yes, and the team, it was kind of like night and day. I don't know what happened in Cincinnati. They just didn't show up. I'm glad they did. It wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to go away from PJ at quarterback, because I think that the team just likes having him as the quarterback right now. So if he's healthy, he kind of earned that job. And yeah, they sort of came in with the proper game plan, run Foreman early and often, get other players involved, like Chenault. They got Chenault involved, and he made another explosive play. And then get after the opposing team's quarterback. Derrick Brown was tough up front. Burns was tough on the edge. Haynes ended up.
Haynes, 2 sacks on the final drive to seal the deal.
Yep, he showed up when we needed him. And then, just the proper game plan, with everybody in the right place, making plays. We're not a terrible team. We don't have bad talent. It's not that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. It's been mismanaged.
Yeah.
And so now it's sort of creating an identity. And it was hard. Like the McCaffrey trade went a long way in terms of helping to define the identity of the team, because now you're not always trying to find ways to get him the ball. You're just making the next best play. And right. I think sort of simplified the game plan for the coaches, and that helped too.
Yeah, I mean, McCaffrey was probably the most talented offensive player on the team and one of the most talented offensive players in the league. But when you're just force feeding him and your only goal is to get him the ball, like you just said, you're not looking necessarily for the next best play. And this is almost like old school Panthers football, like smash mouth football, which honestly, and you need I think long term, you need a quarterback. You need in this league to win, to have sustainability. You have to have a good passing game. And with PJ, we're not really there yet. I wouldn't say with a strong passing game. He did make a few good throws. That pass to Marshall, that was a big play.
Yep.
The touchdown run for LaVisca. Right. That, I mean, honestly, that's a 25-yard handoff. That really should be counted as a pass. So I mean, his numbers would look a little bit better if that is a touchdown pass. Touchdown pass. But overall, he made a couple. He had a couple plays that could have been that could have really hurt. Like he almost threw an interception on the very last possession of the Panthers had the ball. Unfortunately, they didn't pick it off. But overall, he's managing he can play the game plan. He's a game manager. So
Yes.
he yeah, he can be a game manager when you have an offensive line. Like we have a retooled offensive line that is much, much better than what we had a year ago. Like we have a legit good offensive line now. And then Foreman, I mean, sign him up. I think I'm happy for Foreman to be here the next several years
For sure.
as our featured back. You know, he's a big bruising guy. He's had over 100 yards in 3 of his 4 games since McCaffrey's been traded. So it just shows the physicality. And then on the other side of the ball, Derrick Brown, I remember early on in the season, I made a comment about how maybe we shouldn't have gone after Derrick Brown. We should have gotten one of these quarterbacks. And maybe if we had gotten a top quarterback in that draft, maybe it would have made a difference. But that said, Derrick Brown to me is playing. He's got to be one of the top 2 or 3 defensive tackles in the league now. The way he's playing, especially when he plays over the ball, like he's just manhandling people.
Right, and I saw a post. You know, it's just a random tweet or something. Somebody was like, "There are not 3 defensive tackles better than Derrick Brown in the NFL right now," and you know that's sort of a common refrain. Like that's the sentiment right now. He's playing like one of the better defensive tackles in the league and defensive players overall in the league. And so yeah, he has that kind of talent. That's why he was a top 10 pick.
And then he's looking like he did Auburn again.
Right, he for sure he was that dominant. That's why everyone was so high on him. And I don't think they went. I think the team was built the right way, and I think for all the flack that Scott Fritter gets for some of the picks and decisions, he's made good decisions. He's brought in some talented guys.
Yeah,
you know, I think a lot of the blame just goes with Matt Rhule because why was Chenault not getting? Why was Chenault not on the field? Why was Terrace Marshall not getting any burn? You know, those sort of decisions and whatever the defensive game plan was, those were you know, Rhule and Snow decisions. So now we're starting to see with a little bit of change in strategy and sort of philosophy, especially offensively, we're starting to see that we have some pieces in place and you just have to continue to build. The biggest indictment of Matt Rhule was just that he couldn't get the quarterback position right.
Right, and he had opportunities.
And so, yeah, we could have, I mean, they didn't do everything wrong. He just grossly mismanaged the most important position on the field.
Yeah, they had opportunities to trade up and go after Herbert. And I keep forgetting what year, who was the quarterback the year of Brown? Was he drafted? Who was the top quarterback? Who were the top quarterbacks that year?
Yeah, I have to look. Let's see.
But while you're looking that up, Fitter and some of the management, the people wanted to go after. They wanted to move up. Let's see, Tua. I'm seeing it right now. Tua was one. Justin Herbert.
Oh, Tua and Herbert.
Tua and Herbert went right before Derrick Brown. So they wanted to move up to get Herbert. Okay, so if they don't get Herbert, then they end up with Brown. You can argue that pick right there. I mean, obviously, quarterback is the most important position. And you get Herbert, you get a guy who's going to be, you know, Pro Bowl type quarterback for the next decade. You kind of miss on that one. But then they also had an opportunity to go after Justin Fields. And Justin Fields is, you know, he's in his, second year now. He really struggled as a rookie, which a lot of quarterbacks do. I'm kind of an old school guy who thinks that rookie quarterbacks shouldn't be thrown to the wolves unless you're going to like modify your offense around them. I like when a rookie quarterback has a year or two to come up behind an experienced veteran, at least a season to sit back and see how it's done, and then get out there their second year. But anyway, with Justin Fields, he struggled last year, but the Bears' offensive line was terrible. And I think the line is still pretty bad in Chicago, from what I understand. Though they are the top rushing team in the NFL, so the line must be doing something right. But he's finding his groove now, and I think the NFL game, midway through the second season, is slowing down for Justin Fields, where it looks like Chicago probably got their quarterback for the next several years.
Well, yeah, and if you look at the 2020 draft with Derrick Brown, Joe Burrow was the first pick. And then, as we said, Tua, and then Justin Herbert. And then if you keep going, Jordan Love up in Green Bay. We hadn't got to see much of, obviously. But then Jalen Hurts was a second-round pick, number 53. And and he's in the MVP conversation.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, leading an undefeated team. And then after Hurts, I think the next quarterback taken was Jacob Eason, who is on our roster. Mm-hmm. So, and he was taken by the Colts in the 4th round, but now, we've got him as sort of our practice squad quarterback. And, we've seen he's a big guy, he's got a big arm, and the rest of that draft was loaded as far as the quarterbacks taken in front of him. They're all starter level. Maybe we'll see about Jordan Love, but they're all starter, NFL starter quality quarterbacks. And so, we might have the next guy we need already on our roster. And my point is, Matt Rhule, he was too impatient, right, with the quarterback position, because I don't know if it was a difference of philosophy with Teddy Bridgewater, but there was no reason to move on from him after 1 year. I don't care what all the noise and chatter was. Look, if he was a decent starter, a decent NFL starter. They say he couldn't put it in the end zone, in the red zone, but it was his first year. You just need to give things time. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't quite. He was too frenetic. Rhule was. Yeah. He was too frenetic of a coach. And we come in and we see with Steve Wilks what a steady hand.
Oh, yeah.
A steady hand will give you the opportunity to see things for what they are and allow the players to calm down and be who they are, and you can find a rhythm. And you just couldn't do that under Matt Rhule. You could just tell that his energy was way too frenetic. You could tell from his press conferences, and then you could tell from the results on the field and by the way he coached and the decisions he made.
It's night and day between Rhule and Wilks. Wilks looks like the elder statesman out there. He's always calm. He's not flappable. It was funny to me watching the game on Thursday night and the contrast between the two coaches when they would show the Falcons coach.
Yeah,
every single time he was angry, he was yelling, he was cussing, he was just like he was so worked up all the time.
Right.
Every time they showed Steve Wilks, he was just no expression.
Yeah, like he's been there before.
Yeah, he's stoic.
He is stoic.
He's a stoic guy. And they showed that. I saw a little clip in the locker room afterwards when they were celebrating the win, and he gave the game ball to Deontay Foreman.
Yeah,
and he was excited. He was celebrating with the team, but out there on the field, he's stoic. He's unflappable.
Right. He has the right emotions at the right time. He's a good leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Got the right emotions that are
like a general. He reminds me of like a military guy.
For sure. And so whether he ends up being a coach or not, you need that energy, you need that focus, and you need that leadership ability in your building. Mm-hmm. And there's just something to be said for that calm demeanor and nature that, maybe Rhule could get away with that sort of frenetic, all over the place energy in college. But when you're leading grown men, in a work environment, into war, into battle, you got to be calm. And so it obviously didn't work for Rhule. We've moved on, and now we're starting to see what this team can be if there's some consistency from the coaching staff and from a philosophical point of view. If all of the phases, offense, defense, and special teams are on the same page.
Yeah, I think the way this team is currently constructed, I think we saw exactly how the Panthers need to approach each game. And maybe it's different based on opponents a little bit, but establishing the run, That's running the ball more than we throw the ball, and playing tough defense, and just playing smash mouth physical football. That's how we're built.
I mean, we ran it 47 times for 232 yards, almost 5 yards a pop.
Yeah.
And you take out Chenault's run pass, whatever that is. Either way, everybody's stats look a little bit better. Obviously, PJ's stats would look a little bit better with that as a pass, but still,
that's still almost 200 yards rushing. I mean,
yards with the touchdown.
That's demoralizing, to an opponent. We won the line of scrimmage. So
exactly.
There was that one play, and Derrick Brown, he didn't make the play, he didn't make the tackle, but there was one play where he shed the guard that was on him and just threw him to the ground like a rag doll, like a kid. And then he was in the backfield, and he was pursuing Mariota, and somebody came and blocked him. I think it was a block in the back, pushed him from behind, and he went down. But that play just was the epitome of his athleticism and strength. The combination of size, strength, and speed, it was all kind of shown off on that one play right there. So I just got the warning. I just got the 10-minute warning. So just a couple other things to bring up, and I'm going to get on to the Hornets just briefly as well in a few minutes. But one thing that you said possibly the future quarterback is on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
Think that's true? Like Eason or DJ or Sam, or are we going to play Sam this year?
Yeah, I don't have a problem. Look, PJ's winning is his job until something changes. If something were to change, if say what?
Matt Corral. If we're in position and there's a really good quarterback out there, should that be our number one pick next year?
Well,
or is it only if we're in the top three? If we're outside the top three, should quarterback be our top pick next year?
Look, I don't know. I'm not the kind of person that feels like you have to take a quarterback in the first round. Like you can only find a quarterback in the first round. That's not what I think. What I think is you got to be a good evaluator of talent, and then you got to give things a chance to either work or not work. And so I never thought Sam Darnold was the answer. I didn't think Baker Mayfield was the answer.
Right.
I thought sticking with Teddy Bridgewater was the best solution at the time because it gave you time to see what you had on offense and on defense and to then make the best decision moving forward. You can't be a consistent team if the quarterback position is always in flux. So I don't care who it is. If you're always changing them and you're always asking guys, and at least a guy who can win you some games. That's the problem with Rhule. We weren't saying you had to get to the Super Bowl. We were just saying you had to build on your progress from the previous season. So, if you can go from winning 5 games to 8 games to 10 games over 3 years, I don't care who the quarterback is necessarily.
And they gave him a 7-year contract, which obviously he didn't make it halfway through. So that's telling you, hey, patience. We want to change the culture. We're giving you time, but he was not patient.
He was not patient with himself in his own mind, there's something to be said for that, for having a patient spirit, because he didn't, and it showed. It showed in everything that he did that he just did not have the patience. And most importantly, you got to have patience with the quarterback position. And so for me, I thought Teddy Bridgewater was good enough to be the starter for a couple years. You find a guy you think you're comfortable with to come in behind him to learn. He would have been a good mentor. And then you let the young guy have it after 3 years or so, 2 or 3 years, and you see what you got. He's
a good bridge quarterback. No pun intended.
Great. No pun intended. A great bridge quarterback. You already you're building your defense, and obviously it was, they're flying around the field. So yeah, I mean, they just didn't handle that right. So whether the quarterback is on I think if Eason's got a big, strong arm and he's a good pocket guy, and you let Foreman run it and you run play action and you throw it to DJ and Terrace, or you know what I mean, whoever else you end up with at receiver because you can draft a receiver. If you feel like you got a quarterback, then cool. Let that be it. If Corral is him, cool. I mean, let those two young guys duel it out. Keep one of the veterans and let the young guys figure it out, But hell, you got 5 quarterbacks to choose from and you can't figure out one. That's not going to work.
I still like Hendon Hooker out there with Tennessee.
Okay. Well, and look, whatever you're going to do, commit to it. If you like Hooker or Bryce Young or Levis or, whoever you like that's out there, if you're in position to get them, go get them. Let all these other quarterbacks go, except for one, or two. Keep one on the practice squad and go.
Have one veteran there for stability and leadership.
Yes. And who is that? Because Mayfield's out there headbutting guys.
Mayfield's gone. Mayfield's gone after this year. Maybe it's Darnold. Maybe Darnold becomes Brett Anderson? Brett, what was his name? Who was our backup for Cam all those years?
Oh, Derrick Anderson.
Maybe Sam Darnold is our Derrick Anderson, and he can bring somebody along.
Yeah, he is kind of that guy. Derrick Anderson was probably a little better, but yeah, I get the analogy. Yeah, for sure. And I'm cool with Darnold in that capacity. I'm okay with Darnold.
So just 2 other news things, and we don't have to go into them as far as conversation, but Jackson is out for the season. A corner, torn Achilles. And what was the other thing? But J.C. Horn, 3rd pick in 11 games so far in the season, and his career, because he only played 2 games last year before tearing his Achilles. Yep. So he seems to be coming into his stride. So Horn and C.J. Henderson are going to be the top 2 cornerbacks this year. I really like Dante Jackson when he's healthy. I think he's a really good on-the-ball player. When we get Jeremy Chin back, that's going to make a big difference in that secondary as well. So, well, hey, we got 4 minutes to go, and let's switch over to talk about the Hornets. Hornets started off 3-3. Now they're 3-10, and Gordon Hayward is hurt again. Terry was hurt for a little bit. We still haven't seen LaMelo yet. Is it Caleb Martin? Cody Martin?
Cody,
Cody Martin. Caleb's down in Miami. Cody Martin hasn't played all season, and he just had surgery. So what's going on with this team? Are we in full tank mode 13 games into the season?
For sure. I don't know, they did a good job of masking it by winning a couple games up front.
Right, yeah.
You haven't seen LaMelo ball yet. And
is he gonna do like Michael Jordan? His was the second year when he didn't play hardly?
Yeah.
He's just sitting on the sidelines. Is that part of the plan? He's sitting out the season taking a red shirt.
I don't think it was the plan to begin with, but when he got hurt at the end of the preseason, and you're adding up all these things that happen in the offseason, and then your best player gets hurt, and it's kind of like, okay, well, here we are. There's a really good player available in the next draft. So, it's okay if we don't win games.
Yeah, Miles Bridges screwed us for the season. And hey, his wife or girlfriend, allegedly, what happened obviously was worse for her than the Hornets not playing well.
Yeah, right.
That's unacceptable behavior, but yeah, I mean, that him not being here just ruined our most important offseason that we've had in years.
For sure.
And yeah, without him, and then with Hayward not being healthy and LaMelo not playing, then we're basically a team of role players out there.
We really are. And Dennis Smith has looked good. And I think he sort of got an ankle injury as well. So he's a little banged up. He's day-to-day. Mm-hmm. Gordon Hayward is a shoulder. He's out tonight against the Heat. LaMelo Ball is out. Cody Martin, knee out. Rozier can give you buckets, and he can do what he can do. He can get you 20, 25, 30. But still, yeah, otherwise, this roster, you take away 3 starters, and any team is going to have trouble competing in the NBA for an extended period of time. So, and you talk about
take Bane, Morant, and Adams off of the Grizzlies.
Yeah, and it's just not the same team.
Right.
So, now we're getting some look at Book Knight, who had his own troubles in the offseason. Kelly Oubre is sort of trying to help us hold it together. And then, of course, Terry Rozier, PJ Washington has played well offensively. But it's just, it's just not a team that's built to win right now. In that way, it just isn't. And so, yeah, I think all eyes are on if we can get the number one pick, because then after the number one pick, you're sort of just obviously you want to get a talented player, but Wembanyama is generational.
Yeah.
So that that's the prize, and we had this same sort of situation in 2012, coming off the worst season ever, that 2011 season, where we were like 7-52 or whatever, and the
Kimby. Yeah, that 7-52 season, that was Kimba's first or second year, one of his first years.
Yeah, it was his first season. I think that was his rookie season, I believe, and we ended up getting the number 2 pick in the draft, which was unlucky because then Anthony Davis was the first pick.
We put MKG, right?
And we took MKG, and I remember most of these drafts, like they were yesterday. And so the debate that year was MKG or sort of Harrison Barnes. And again, we had already taken a small point guard, a small undersized center in Biyombo. Kimba was a fine pick, but he was small. He was a small point guard.
Right.
And then we pick a defensive-minded undersized center in Biyombo. And then the next draft, you get a guy who fundamentally could not shoot, in Michael Kidd Gilchrist. He couldn't shoot. And so, we built this team that was the opposite of the trend of the league. The league was trending towards shooting, and we tried to build a defensive team, and it just didn't work. And so, getting the number 1 pick, a guy like Wembanyama, it would solve some problems because aside from injury, he's a lock. From a skill position and size position, he can't miss. So, injury is probably the only thing that can hold him back. And if you get the number 1 pick, you got to take that chance.
Well, the other guy that we missed in the draft was Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, that was the Malik Monk draft.
Was that the Malik Monk draft? Yep.
Yeah, and I remember
he went 11. We picked him at 11. Then Luke Kennard went to the Pistons at 12, and then Donovan Mitchell. And then after that, Bam Adebayo.
Yeah. So, but we were at a position then where we kind of we always need a shooting guard, right? Like we've been in this since, and especially since 2011. And this is a sort of revisionist history, but since I was a season ticket holder that year, I remember specifically how it all played out. We had Gerald Wallace and Steven Jackson, and neither one of them was coming back. And so for 2011 draft, I thought, okay, you're giving up your shooting guard and your small forward. So it's only logical to replace them. And we're picking in the lottery with 2 picks. And I'm like, you got to get one of these wing players at least with one of these picks. And we didn't. We got Kimba and Biyombo, and sitting there were Klay Thompson and Kawhi Leonard. Now imagine building your team around Klay at the shooting guard and Kawhi at the 3 like that. And it made perfect sense to me. Yeah. I'm doing all my draft research. I'm looking and I'm like, oh man, he's a pure shooter. We hadn't had a pure shooter. Maybe Matt, what's his name from Notre Dame? Anyway, we didn't have a pure shooter, and we didn't have any shooters, and we just not Connaughton, no,
Connaughton,
yeah, No. I'll think of it a sec. But we didn't have any shooters. And so, I'm like, Klay Thompson's a pure shooter. He looks good. And we need a small forward. At that time, Kawhi he wasn't the all-around player that he was, but you could see the potential. And he was a lottery pick. And he was he was stud athletically and on defense. And you could just see that he had some potential to grow. So those guys seemed like good fits for us. But instead, we went point guard and center, and it was just, and so we've sort of been behind from then. We've been behind from then.
Talking about that 2011 draft. All right, so Kyrie went number 1.
Yeah.
Kemba was the 9th overall.
No,
pick.
Kyrie went.
Huh?
Did Kyrie go 1?
Kyrie went 1 that year.
It wasn't Brandon Knight.
No, Kyrie was number 1.
Okay.
Kemba was 9th.
Yep.
And then we picked Biyombo was like 7th, didn't we?
Yeah, right before Kemba.
Yeah, so Biyombo was the 7th overall pick. Klay Thompson was 11.
Yep.
Kawhi went number 15.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler. Guess who the 30th pick was?
Draymond or
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler. So yeah, Nikola Vucevic. He was after that. I mean, so many good players.
Lots of them.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, well, hindsight's always 20/20. So if we do end up tanking on this, and we do end up getting Victor Wembanyama, I'll get that right. It took me a long time to be able to say Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo, yeah.
That took a minute. So
I mean so we're headed towards don't win a lot of games and see if you can get Wembanyama.
Yeah, as a small market team, we pretty much have to. I feel like as a small market team, we have to build the draft, and then when you have enough pieces, when you have a Wembanyama and you have LaMelo, you got enough pieces. Then maybe you can get some people that are going to want to come here to play. Some other pieces to round the team out. But otherwise, we're a small market team, so.
Well, and we deserve some good luck. I mean, Mitch Kupchak has done a good job. But there's been some bad luck. There's just been some flat out bad luck. The Miles Bridges situation was just terribly unfortunate because nobody saw it coming.
Yeah, I mean,
he might come back. We might be able to get him for the cheap. Who knows how that's going to play out? He might miss a
after
season.
A year.
Yeah, and so anyway, it could work out in our favor. I've seen it happen like that. Stranger things have happened, but it's not fun right now.
Yeah, and it's tough. It's kind of tough. I mean, Thursday night was a lot of fun watching the Panthers.
Yes.
But yeah, it's kind of tough as just as a sports fan. Like I feel like we're Detroit right now.
Yeah.
Dude, what's the worst sports city?
We are right now.
Detroit's up there too, though. Pistons only won 3 games,
but they've got a young core. They've got a young core.
Yeah,
the Pistons have a young core that's fun to at least think about because they've gotten good players in consecutive drafts. That's something we hadn't really done.
They have hockey. They have hockey and baseball. So
they have hockey and baseball.
I don't know how. I'm not really sure how the Tigers and the Red Wings have been performing lately. I don't follow them, but
no, I mean, and not only the other part that makes us so bad is the spectacular fashion with which we've crashed and burned. The Matt Rhule situation, Tepper and the stadium and the Rock Hill practice facility, the way that has gone wrong, all the arrests over the summer, everybody is 3 players associated with our team over this or over the summer and early in the season have been arrested. I mean, it's been a mess.
Yeah.
It's been a mess.
Been a mess. Well, on that high note,
yes.
On that high note, we'll wrap things up. We'll be back on getting back together in a couple of days to talk about stuff going on in Charlotte. So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens between now and then. Something good, we hope.
Hopefully so. All right. Well, you have a great day. Enjoy your Saturday.
You too, buddy.
And everybody watching, thanks for watching, listening, and we'll see you on a future episode.
Yes, sir.